When you see him,
Okay.
you'll recognize him immediately.
I already
Mallard.
know who it is. You just mentioned duck and newspaper comic, and I know who that man is.
Yeah, he's a green duck. He's a
Yes,
yeah.
He's a
it's the
mallard.
twin. It's in black and white.
Yeah, sorry,
Mallard.
he's a mallard.
This is the
He's
first time
a.
in my life I'm ever seeing this motherfucker. Who is
He's
this?
never,
Really?
no, you've seen him before.
I have never seen this man. Is this
I was
Howard the Duck?
obsessed with newspaper comics
No,
when I
this
was
is
a child.
Mallard Fillmore.
Why one of the first things that comes up if you look up Mallard Fillmore and go to Google image search is a Mallard Fillmore comic where he's talking to an anime girl, or there's like an anime girl in the thing. I don't know. I don't want to look at that anymore. Okay. We're
Want to,
recording
I'm gonna
again.
look it up.
Everybody's
All those
little
anime
faces.
noses have been missing for decades.
She is missing a nose. Everybody's faces are in the right place now. Hello everybody. We're recording, and then Christian showed up, so now we're recording again. We're including him in. The only thing
Homie?
we did last what?
Is Christian below me?
No, Christian.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yes. Okay.
Yes,
Hi.
but he's above you in the Discord, but he's below you. I should rearrange the overlay to fit how Discord arranges y'all's names. I didn't realize that it was gonna be
Static.
yeah, like that.
Because I know
That's so
you're
much
to the
better.
left.
Okay, that'll work. That'll work. Okay, so the only thing that we did was we sort of went over, some last time recap type things. Everybody sort of went around and kind of gave their little recap scene, something that they, a scene that involved their character or something that they found memorable from the last session. Christian, what do you remember from the last session? We'll just start with you. Let's have you recap everything that you can remember from the last session, and we'll just use you as the recap.
Okay. So, we are a crackpot group of friends that we have a cool airplane and do hijinks and heists out of. So, are we friends? I don't know. Our interactions are a little strange, but I guess our relationships will be developed as we continue. We received a call on our conversation pit, on the table in the conversation pit, from a very mysterious Smiley, and he instructed us to meet someone that we don't know at a diner and to get something for him from someone, again, we don't know. We tried to investigate, found out that there's some history with Smiley in our pilot, and then eventually decided to just go to the diner and wing it. We show up fashionably late. Honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. We 15 minutes late, but apparently our person we were meeting was not happy with us. They decided to leave. We decided to super cool hacker man tracker man, and we tracked him down. And then Miss Fang, I think, beat the shit out of him. Basically,
I
you
did
hit him,
try.
right? Or you tried at least.
She got
Yeah.
hit by him.
You got hit, but then we
Also-
also laid him the fuck out, right? Didn't?
That wasn't me.
Oh, was that?
That was me. I shot him in the
Oh yeah,
face
you
with a
tased him.
sleeper,
Yeah. Yeah, so then
sleeper round.
sleep.
Put him to sleep.
Put him to sleep. But yeah, and then we received an item from him. But after that, I actually had to peace out. So I don't know what happens after that. All I know is we properly subdued him. Though we weren't supposed to subdue him. He just refused to then give us the item because we were late.
Yeah.
I get it.
True story.
Yep. So the guy that you were meeting, you were supposed to receive an attaché case from him that Smiley wanted. He kind of wanted you guys to be the middlemen in this transaction. Yep, like you said, you were late, so you had to track him down. The guy was very strange. He was seemingly augmented in more ways than you would think. He got very aggressive. He was very upset that the four of you were late to the meeting, so you kind of had to take the attaché case from him by force. Polly, successfully put him down with a round from her sleeper gas gun deal. And then from there, the group took the attaché case, met up with Arthur Campbell, Smiley's son, We should mention Smiley is a person. Smiley Campbell. He is an old friend of the pilot of the Long Weekend. The Long Weekend is the ship that y'all use to fly around and do daring heists and whatnot on. So Smiley's an old friend of Mannon's.
They thought was dead.
Yes, Manon thought that Smiley was dead, so it came to him as a surprise that he had contacted the four of y'all for a job. Manon told y'all to be very wary of Smiley. Apparently he's a duplicitous fellow.
And also, who can go years while everyone thinking he's dead and then just randomly show up? That's just a suspicious thing to do.
And be fine about it. Be like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? Like,
not addressing it. You're like, wow.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, a little shady. So then the group just took the attaché case that you were supposed to pick up for Smiley, and then took it to Smiley's son, Arthur. The whole deal going on here is Smiley had access to a key card that would grant the Long Weekend clearance to fly over the airspace of the WEH. The WEH being the Western Energy Housings. It's where it's like these giant fields of solar panels out west of the city that harness solar energy and convert it into joules. The idea is to use this clearance to do a daring heist, joule heist on the energy housings. Smiley, of course, wants a cut, and I think that's it. Anything else? Anything else?
I think so.
No, that sounds about it.
That just about covers it?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I pitch a random thing about the WEH that you
Yeah.
can shoot down immediately? It's just I just realized the naming of it.
Uh-huh.
The Western Energy Housing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Could that, like, a lot of people just like also like live there as housing units that are there get to live in if they maintain like the solar units or whatever the hell they generate, or like their
Like work
mining
housing.
rig,
I
like basically
haven't-
work housing.
I hadn't thought about that, but actually,
It's like it's kind of like how they
might
can
like
get a
that.
place to live. It's like, oh yeah, you can live out here, but you were responsible for making sure all the generators in your unit are completely running all the time. And it's just
I think the original idea was that the like military technicians and engineers and stuff maintained the WEH, but actually,
They just oversee.
I like this better because the auditors technically oversee operations, with the military just sort of like a men in the middle that sort of do all the boots on the ground stuff. But I actually like that better because that puts them into conflict with the faction that operates inside of the WEH.
Yeah, I just think that's then interesting as well. Like indentured servitude, basically, like sure you can live there if you maintain it and also route the energy into the city. And you're like,
Exactly. Okay, yeah, I actually like that a lot. Western Energy Housing.
because then housing's like a double entendre. Is that right? Double entendres aren't always sexual, right?
I think double
They
entendre.
mostly are, but they don't have to be.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard double entendre used in a non suggestive situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if it's non-sexual, it's more accurate to say double meaning.
It's usually defined. It's defined as usually one of those meetings is risque or indecent.
Indecent.
Stupid French. In
What
there.
we're good at.
I've been using the word double entendre a lot, incorrectly a lot. If it's mostly for risque things, I've been using it for like puns and stuff like that. Like, get it?
It's a double entendre.
Still applies.
All right, so that catches everybody up. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to go over before we get started?
So,
No, we just need to do XP.
Okay, cool.
For those who
we'll,
haven't done it yet.
we'll stage an opening scene, and then we'll do everybody's XP, and then we'll head into downtime activities.
What
That sound
happened
good?
after we received the case from Mr. Augmented Guy?
We delivered it.
You just delivered. Okay, so got it.
Yeah, we took it to Arthur. We charmed his pants off, and we got out of there.
Is that a double entendre?
No, actually, that wasn't.
Okay.
No,
I
his
think,
pants didn't.
I think it technically is, isn't it? Because
But-
you didn't literally charm his pants off, but you figuratively did.
I
and
did.
it's not a double meaning.
No, because then if he had done both, it would have been a double entendre. Since you didn't successfully depants him
I-
as well.
It's a single entendre.
Single.
It's just an
Only one
entendre.
was entendre.
All right. Okay. So, let's start the episode. So, we open up the episode with the sound of rolling thunder. We have a bolt of lightning shoot down and illuminate the interior of Manon's quarters inside of the long weekend. It's a very cramped, small space. It's one of the one of the installments for like a gun on the long weekend. What are those called?
One of the long
What's the name for those? You know, those
What
like,
do you-
those, like the little like pods that you get in when you're like
Oh,
inside one
like-
of the...
like one of the gunner pods or like gunnery stations
turret?
or something like that. Yeah, turret.
I guess turret is, but okay, never mind. It's one, it's one of those.
But the room in there, like the pod that you're in.
Yeah, it's a very
When you're
small.
shooting the gun.
Yes, it's a very very small space. The space is covered, kind of floor to ceiling almost, in all of Manon's old newspapers and magazines and his like little knickknacks and tchotchkes. Manon is sort of a small, kind of squirrely looking man. He's around middle aged. He's wearing very big glasses. He's got an old bomber jacket on, and he sort of has his back turned to the camera as we begin. And then another flash of lightning cuts across the scene, outside the window of the little turret that he's stationed in. And we sort of cut in closer and we see kind of almost from his perspective, maybe slightly over the shoulder, he's holding on to an old framed picture that he has. We see the picture is of a group of young men. There are 4 of them. One of them is very obviously a younger Manon. He looks exactly like Manon does now, except his hair is a very dark jet black instead of the graying hair that Manon sports now. He looks very young. His face isn't as wrinkled as it is now. He looks a little bit uneasy in the photo, but he's smiling shyly. He's sort of arm in arm with a young black man, very cheery smile, sort of in the middle of the picture, surrounded by his 3 other companions. The young man has a like a very thick mustache, much like Smiley does. In the picture as well is a Japanese Asian looking man with a very sharp crew cut, very intense augmentation in both of his eyes, kind of like going from his eyes down his cheeks like towards his mouth. And then the third man is just sort of he's a blonde, kind of long-haired white man, very fit, kind of towering individual at the far end of the frame. So we have this picture of these 3 men. We can see kind of in the background of the picture, we can see like some palm trees kind of out in the distance, and maybe it looks like there's a jungle of some sorts behind them. So we get the shot of Manon looking at this old picture of himself and his old companions. And then from there, we cut to whatever the next scene is of y'all on your downtime. But before we get to that, let's go over having everybody tick XP. So, if you haven't done so already, let's go over what we do in that case. So XP, everybody's got different XP triggers. Who has already done their XP triggers or marked them?
I did mine. I only really had 2 XP. I'll go over mine if anybody wants to know.
Yeah, what did you mark? What did you mark XP for?
So I didn't get to roll any desperate actions. That I actually no wait. I think I did actually because I was in that team desperate action.
Yeah, I think
that
everybody gets to
occurred.
mark a desperate action for that team action.
Mm-hmm. If you did it multiple times, you think you get 2 XP. Even if you did it more than twice, you get 2 XP total.
Yep.
then there's a, let's see, I think you mark XP at the end of each session for items below. So then I felt I did address a challenge of technical skill or mayhem, so I marked off an XP for that.
Yep.
I did not express, and that'll be for different for everybody. I don't think I expressed my beliefs, drives, culture, or background, and I didn't struggle for my vice, root, or traumas during play. So I did not mark XP for those.
Okay.
By the way, I think that every time you roll, you get XP for every time you roll a desperate action. It's just only XP in that attribute's action XP. Whereas if
That'd be great.
your other trait ones, like whether it be from your beliefs or you're suffering from your vice, like those other ones, you get character XP for that, for like playbook XP,
I think you're
and
right.
that you can only get up to 2 for. Even if, does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's what this says here.
Yeah, I think you're right. It says mark 1 XP in the attribute for the action you rolled. For example, if you roll desperate combat action, you mark XP in prowess. When you roll in a group action that's desperate, you also mark XP. At the end of the session, you review the XP triggers, and then you mark 1 XP if it happened at all, or mark 2 XP if it happened a lot. Okay, yeah, I think you're right. So does that mean like it's like you kind of you can double dip on that?
No, because the XP triggers are different. Like for example, for my character, my unique XP trigger is you addressed a challenge with technology or quick thinking. And if I did that once, I get 1 XP. If I do that 3 to 5 times, I get 2 XP for that.
Okay, so I think
But
we all
that'd be
made a
playbook XP.
desperate trace group action, if I
least.
remember correctly. So we would
'Cause
all
we
mark
started off in
insight
desperate.
XP.
Honestly, Polly might also then get an additional XP in whatever they rolled and failed at the beginning, whenever they were talking with the bartender's son, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I rolled.
I think that
I think it was Sway.
I think it was Sway as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to get him to tell you what was going on. So that would be
It was
resolve
definitely
XP.
a resolve, either no matter what, even if it was control or sway.
Mhm.
So I click on resolve XP.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, you just take it in
Yeah.
one.
You would mark one thing in control XP.
Okay.
Does anybody need any help? Does anybody know what?
don't think so.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm-
I'm not sure how XP. I see multiple. I see playbook XP, stress XP, insight XP, prowess XP, resolve XP. I don't know.
You'd put it in resolve because you did the desperate action of sway, which is in the
Yeah,
resolve category.
I'm also curious if I get XP for other things that I'm not aware of.
Click on the very top right where it says see your playbook, and then scroll all the way to the
Yes.
bottom. At the
Playbook.
the third line at the very bottom, it'll say you addressed yada yada. That'll be unique to you.
Okay. So every time I roll a
Origin.
desperate action, mark XP in that action attribute. At the end of each
Then-
session.
What was our group desperate action?
Trace.
Traced.
Okay.
Would you say, Mr. DM, do you think that I addressed a challenge with technology or quick thinking, with hacking into using my hacking tools to get into the security cameras?
I would say that counts.
Thank you, sir. And I'm gonna
Yeah, you
take a
certainly did.
playbook
That was
XP for that.
That was a cool scene.
Now the question is, does then David's character, which I'm blanking on their name,
Rabble.
Ravel, they helped, but that doesn't then count because you didn't roll your own.
I believe
you
so,
assisted
correct. I
me
don't
on
think
that.
Yes, I believe you can't get XP for
Assisted
assists
assisting.
that aren't part of a like a teamwork group action.
So how do I know if I roll desperate actions?
In theory, you're supposed to mark it as you do it.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I do not
Right
know.
now, we're just kind of speculating and trying to remember.
Yeah, I think the one for that team action counts. I would say that you probably so the one for the team action counts, and then the one for when you were talking to Ken's son inside of the diner, that does as well. that was a desperate action, but I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, I should have gone back and listened to
Pretty
part
sure we
2.
got out of desperate shortly after that.
Yes, y'all got, I think y'all
Because
got,
we
yes.
critically successed on the
Yes.
trace or something
Yes.
like that.
Yes,
and then
y'all
we
got
got
out of
out.
desperate, by the time that you were out of the diner, the situation got out of desperate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's two things that you would mark desperate XP for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would have 1 XP in your insight
that-
track and 1 in
Was
your
it
resolve
was it
track.
desperate when I ghosted him? When I ghosted that guy? No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It was risky.
Okay.
And we'll just make sure this time going through.
Yeah, just make sure that you mark. Yeah.
Okay. And I don't think I did any of my 3 things, which is I don't think I really addressed the challenge with calculation or conspiracy. I didn't express my beliefs, drives, culture, or background, and I didn't really struggle with issues from my vice, root, or traumas.
Yep.
So now I know I should do that.
You can have the playbook roll for you, and it would do a little thing where it marks it if you want to going forward to keep track of it. Like, you do a little drop down. I'm like, okay, cool. If I was doing standard, desperate with no bonus dice because no one's helping me, I can then hit roll, and it would tell me it's a desperate standard. And then I could just go back and check whatever I typed.
Action roll, downtime roll. Oh, okay, I see the rolls here.
Mhm.
And
It's a little
action-
counterintuitive how to actually make it roll, but
What action will position? Oh, okay, there's a little bit of a drop down here. Okay. Follow-up question. What's stress XP?
it's not. It's just your stress. That is just stress. Whenever you push yourself, you take stress. Whenever you suffer harm and you choose to resist it, you take stress.
There's a
Once
stress
it
XP
hits-
track as well.
There's a stress XP track
Where?
in between
it's
the
on
playbook
the-
XP and inside XP.
Oh, then
let's see, that
Hell, I know.
levels by
Stress XP. Okay, so when the PC,
Reason I
Oh,
ask is that's
okay.
stress.
The stress XP track is just your stress track. It's just called stress XP.
no,
Oh,
it's
in
a,
two
it's
places.
also it's from end of session XP.
Really?
Yeah, you can get an extra stress bar. That's why it's called. There's stress on the left and there's stress on the right. There wouldn't be
Yeah.
2 bars otherwise. Stress XP you can put. Let me see from what I'm reading here. It says. A player may mark end of session XP on any XP tracks they want, any attribute, or the playbook and stress XP track.
Oh, okay. So
And
for,
it says when you fill the stress track, you have an additional point of stress to spend.
Oh, okay. So that's only for XP that you gain through like, expressing a part of your background or something
Yeah.
like that isn't directly
Not through
tied to an
rolls.
action. Okay.
yeah, you'd have to use your
Okay.
playbook XP for that.
So then, following question: what does filling out the playbook XP track do?
That'll
get
let you take
abilities.
advancements.
And advancements.
Yeah, those like you'll get like a new special ability, like you can like kind of like how you can see whenever people are lying to you, like something else from the playbook.
Okay.
Or you could take a veteran advance, and that lets you pick from another playbook's special abilities.
Yes.
And those are filled
Okay, cool,
in,
cool.
and those are filled in again the same way that the stress XP tracks are filled in. They come from anything that doesn't come from a roll, right?
Yes, that is correct. End of session XP can go into anything.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Is everybody square? Is everybody good?
I'm Gucci.
So my stress stays that I
Yes.
accrued from. Okay.
Yes. We'll deal with getting rid. We'll deal with getting rid of that potentially or not here in a second once we go into downtime.
Sweetness.
Okay, cool. Are we good?
Mhm.
Everybody good? Okay, cool. So the next thing that we have to do is figure out what everybody's doing during their downtime. So the game works in basically 3 phases. There's a free play phase, which is kind of what we were in when you guys received the score from Smiley. There is the score phase, which is what we spent most of the last session in. And then there is the downtime phase, which is what we are in now. So the downtime phase fulfills a couple of different purposes. There are several different mechanics, and there are several different things that we do. We mostly deal with sort of payoff and heat and entanglements. come as a result of the score that we just did. So, sort of the consequences of everything that happened in the score that we just ran through. And then we go into everybody's downtime activities, which are the ways that the PCs indulge their vices to remove stress, work on long-term projects, recover your health or your harm or whatever, all those kinds of things. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll go over the payoff from the score. So payoffs, scores generate both rep and jewels. This score has yet to pay off directly in jewels, right? Nobody's paying you necessarily. You're kind of going into phase 2 of the score, which you're going to treat as a separate score, and that's going to net you some jewels. And of course, Smiley wants a cut of that as well, so we'll kind of skip the jewels part. But the crew did generate some rep from this operation. So by default, the crew earns 2 rep per score. If the target of a score is a higher tier than you, then you take plus 1 rep per tier that they're higher. And if the target of the score is of a lower tier than you, then you take minus 1 rep per tier that they're lower than you. So I think for this score, there really wasn't, I think 2 by default sounds good to me. I don't necessarily think that you were taking any, What
are you thinking here, Ted? What's going on?
Well, the tier of the faction that guy who you took the attaché case from is quite a bit higher than y'all's, but I don't think that necessarily, it's not like you guys went on an op specifically targeting that faction. So I think
a tier and a half.
But we were targeting his attaché case. And we did take it from him.
This is true.
If there wasn't some element of risk to the score to begin with, then why did we do the score at all, right? There should be some benefits and reward.
That's a good point. Let me see.
Downtime, payoff. You can just give us two rep if you don't want to give us an extra higher tier. This was a pretty, if there's just the one guy, I'm good with just 2 rep.
Yeah, it was just the one guy.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it was just the one guy. Okay, let's go with 2.
I will say though, we left the guy alive. If anybody ever hears that we took this guy out, that we like a guy who's in the mega badass faction, that kind of seems pretty cool. That would probably be something more than most people could do. Arguably,
it was also 4 against 1.
Really, was only 2 against 1. We didn't really get to get involved.
Yeah, but
and that guy knows that.
No, I think when I shot him in the face with my sleeping gun, he had only seen Polly and Fang, because y'all showed up behind him, right?
Yeah. So he really only saw the 2. I think 2 rep is fine. I think in this situation, it was a simple situation. You were dealing with one person. It's not really like you were targeting a specific target, right? So I think 2 rep is fine.
Okay. Besides, it was kind of a misunderstanding. We're late.
The potential payoff in rep for the next score that we're going into is going to be much higher.
Okay. So when we're going into this next score, we're expecting something like 4 or 6 jewels. Is this a small job or is this a standard score?
This is a slightly above standard score. It's a big score. I would expect around 8 jewels. But
we're dealing with a tithe.
Yeah, Smiley's gonna want a cut of that.
Okay,
Okay, yep. So we'll go ahead and mark 2 rep on the crew sheet. Who's gonna do
that's
that?
done. We got it.
Okay, cool. So that's the payoff. No jewels yet, but a little bit of reputation. You got on Smiley's good side. So next thing that we got to
Did we-
deal with
did we get
is heat. Yes. So after you guys go on a score, if you leave any witnesses, if you go in kind of loud, you'll accrue heat, kind of, you know, as you commit crimes and whatnot. So, according to the nature of the operation, you'll accrue heat. I would say, you know,
It was social.
you
It was
got,
social, wasn't it?
well, it was, but then you had sort of the altercation with the guy with the attaché case.
Yeah.
Polly, I wrote down specifically that you would get reduced heat because of your successful ghosting of him when you did take him out, right? He kind of didn't necessarily know what was going on when you fired off the round of that and put him to sleep. And you didn't really, you know, you didn't really kill him, right? You just sort of put him to sleep.
Yeah.
I am going to... How does 2 heat sound? Right? It's contained. That's pretty standard exposure. It would have been 0 heat if you guys had shown up and sort of dealt with things, you know, non-violently against this guy, but there was sort of an element of violence in taking this guy out. You know, he's still alive.
That's fair.
There aren't any
I'd
corpses.
expect +1 heat from being him well connected if he's so high tier, so I feel like that's fair.
Okay. Yeah. So 2 heat then.
Yeah,
Sounds good. I marked that.
but not for me. For the crew. But not me.
Well, for the crew specifically.
Hey, the whole crew gets this heat,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not.
So, just so everybody knows what heat does, you kind of build up heat as you, you know, do things sort of, you know, loudly and chaotically on your scores. When your heat level reaches 9, right now we're at 2, you gain a wanted level and you clear your heat. You know, excess heat will roll over to the next heat bar. The higher that your wanted level goes, the more serious the response when law enforcement takes action against you. You know, they'll send in higher quality people. They'll have higher scale effect. You know, things will be bad for you if you let your heat get out of control and people start coming after you. Okay, you don't have to deal with incarceration. Everybody's fine. Okay. So, now we got to deal with entanglement. Entanglement is sort of a reflection of what sort of people come calling after your score, right? You guys didn't spring up from nowhere. Your crew has a history of favors, commitments, debts, and promises that got them to where they are today. To reflect this history, a player rolls to find out which entanglement comes calling after each score. Entanglement can be, you know, a rival crew looking to throw their weight around, an auditor, you know, from the corporate council making their case against your crew, you know, whatever. So we are within the 0 to 3 heat range. So this is just 1d6 roll, right?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So we'll just roll a d6, whoever wants to do that.
I'll do it. Let me get there. Six.
Okay.
That's good, I think.
Yeah, 6 is cooperation.
Yay.
Oh, wait.
Oh, does it apply, though? We don't have a +3 faction.
I guess it doesn't apply, no.
Cool, so we were under the radar.
Yeah, you guys are good to go. Alright, it couldn't have gone better
Sweet.
for a first score entanglement roll.
Nice.
Okay. Nope, a +3 satisfaction. Okay, cool. Alright, cool. So that is all of that. Now we get to go into everybody's downtime activities. So, during downtime, a PC can make time for 2 activities. After that, you could do more than 2, but after that, each additional activity costs 1 joule or 1 rep. The things that you can do, you can acquire an asset, you can work towards a long-term project, you can recover, you can work to reduce the heat on the crew, you can train, you can install cybernetics, or you can indulge one of your vices to reduce stress. So, who would like to go first? Polly?
Yeah. I don't know. We get 2, right? Is what you said?
Yes.
2 actions. I know what the first one is for sure. Polly is way too stressed out. So she's going to go to her favorite bathhouse, that wonderful tower in the city that has a beautiful view of the incoming.
How much stress do you have?
I will tell you in a moment. I'm looking at the wrong sheet.
You have quite a lot, if I remember correctly.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Because there is a risk of overindulging. If you roll over, there are consequences. You basically, I think, do an additional entanglement if you overindulge, but 5 is a pretty good chance that you wouldn't.
Yeah. I have to roll under it, over it, under it.
So
you roll a dice. Yeah, he'll explain it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna roll. I think it's a single d6 if I'm correct. You can take an extra d6 if your downtime activity includes, a friend or one of your contacts is helping you, or is involved in the downtime activity, which I don't think so, right? You're just going to your vice purveyor. Jose?
Did he freeze?
I think he froze.
Oh, I think he froze.
Oh. Phone died. Okay,
Wham.
we'll skip to someone else. Who wants to do their downtime activity?
I have a really quick question because I just need to know if it was on me. Or... I don't have any stress marked. Should I?
I don't think you did any helping.
Okay.
And you didn't lead a group action, and you didn't
cool.
fail. You actually, I think, really succeeded on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
The one time you resisted,
I don't think
you
you resisted any
the
rolls
stress
either.
fully. No, she did, but she rolled 2 6s, and so
that's true. That's true. So yeah, she's good.
Cool. Just making sure that wasn't me forgetting to.
no,
you're good. Do you want to go? Do you want to do your downtime?
You could train.
Somebody else go. I have a hard time remembering these things.
So, I know I want to start a project
Okay.
because I like projects
Okay.
of possibly. I don't know. And it's gonna mess up all the videos.
It did. That's fine. It'll be fixed when he comes back. Hello. We can hear you.
Yeah. What I was gonna say that I want to do is I want to try to upgrade my hacking gear, and basically I want to start a project to make it into fine hacking gear. How I do that, I don't know. And so I was gonna workshop how many clock project that would be, or if I also need to acquire items.
I think you would probably have to acquire some items. Let's determine how many segments make up this clock. I think this sounds to me like an 8 segment clock.
Yeah. I'd say 6 to 8, depending on how difficult the if you're wanting me to find a certain item.
Do you already have fine hacking tools as part of your playbook?
I thought I had just regular hacking gear.
Check your specialized items, because I have hacking gear / interface as just part of my regular, not my playbook load. So maybe you do have fine hacking, but maybe you could have work on getting a network key to a corp in particular.
I'm gonna
as an
run to the
alternative,
restroom real
assuming
quick. I'll
you
be
don't
right
want to do the
back.
first one.
There you
Let me look at my playbook. Oh. Welcome back.
go. Hello.
Hello.
There we go.
My phone died.
We're still trying to figure out what Corn.
If any of y'all have an idea. what to
For
do,
an alternative.
or just if you'll want to go. I think of.
Oh, I do know I want to do one, and I think Bree, if you're interested, you could do this too. I think I'm just gonna mark. I'm gonna train and mark XP in Insight, so I can get a head start on that. You can only do that once per downtime, like one particular XP track. So I think I'm just gonna do Insight up one.
Okay.
And my other one is going to be my other activity. I'd like to do a downtime project, but I feel like I need to I probably have to study. And I need to consider what the project could be to begin with.
Okay. When you
I
say
need
that you're going
on
to
it.
train, this is kind of interesting because here we go. Okay. When a PC spends time training, they mark 1 XP on the XP track for an attribute or playbook advancement. If they have the appropriate crew training upgrade unlocked, they mark +1 XP, so 2 total. Okay. Okay, so when you train, you just get to mark an extra XP on a track?
Yeah, and that would be I'm doing it on Insight. I kind of imagine since that's the modify one, the same one that's her main skill. I imagine she kind of just is running through like she just spends a lot of time assembling and disassembling stuff with her Swiss Army knife hands.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else that you want to do? I mean, is there any particular scene that we see, or we just get I imagine we might montage all of this, right? We just get sort of
Yeah, I imagine it'd just be a montage. Nothing in particular. Maybe acquiring an asset would be cool, but I don't really know. I feel like after the score, I'll have a better idea of all the kind of stuff I want to do. I mean, I think maybe reducing heat might be cool. I can't really think of how exactly I would do that. So I don't think she's really the type to go about thinking, oh, I gotta really lower the heat. She's more of let them come kind of thing.
Okay.
And I don't need to reduce. I don't need to do my vice. So might be boring and just do another XP track on a different XP. Just because,
that works.
yeah,
Too.
Might as well get a head start in training and stuff. And yeah, I'll just mark another XP in prowess and call it good.
Okay, so insight and prowess. Okay, cool. How do you train your prowess?
So that one's more about combat and wrecking. So kind of imagine she let's see, she has maybe she has those like a cyberpunk sort of training drone, like in 2077, that she has built in the ship, and so she's just spending a lot of time practicing. She doesn't really fight much. She her version of it is wailing on it really hard with a big hammer.
Okay, so does the okay, if we were to merge these into one scene, right? Does the training and insight come from programming and setting up the drone, and then setting it up so that you can train your prowess with it, right? And kind of wail on it and have something to fight against? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of it, she ends up just totally. At the end of that scene, she just ends up busting it, and I'm just eh.
Okay, cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Who would like to go? I think we're still sort of waiting on Cornfield to decide what he wants to do for his downtime activity. Fang, could I convince you to do your downtime activity?
You certainly can, and I really don't know what to do.
Okay.
Is it boring to do some training as well? I feel like I don't have a lot to go on.
Okay.
I don't have a lot to go on either. I think I think it's totally acceptable to just train right now.
Well, you've got some if I remember correctly, you have some harm, don't you?
I think she does.
I think that I do, but I didn't write it down.
I don't remember what the harm was.
I think you took level 2 harm.
No, she resisted it. So it would have gone down to level 1. I think you were going to give her level 2 harm.
Yeah, so it's level 1.
No, I think I was going to give her level 3 harm, and then it went down to level 2. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're sitting at level 2 harm from you're sitting at level 2 harm from the punch that you just sort of ate from the guy.
Well,
you're at -1d. If you take
she only gets -1d. Oh, sorry, you were gonna say
it. Yeah. You get -1d if you take another level of level 2 harm, right? Since it's only filling out one of those boxes on your character sheet. So you could do something to try and get rid of that if you wanted to.
How does that work in game? Do I need to just rest or?
So when PCs recover, they seek treatment to heal harm. A PC might visit a street dock or have the crew's torque apply medical technology that a bruised or battered body. If the PC doesn't have a contact or fellow PC who can provide treatment, they can use the acquire asset activity to access someone who can provide this service for the whole crew. Yeah, so you would, fictionally, you'd be going out and looking for some way to treat whatever wounds that you took. You've probably got some, like, pretty bruised ribs, because you sort of took that punch, like, straight to, like, center of mass. Okay. Recovery is like a long-term project, the player giving the treatment. Oh, okay. So we would treat your healing like a 4 o'clock progress clock, right? So we would make a clock of 4 segments, and then we would roll to determine how many segments get filled. Once they're all filled, the person that's rolling to fill them would be like an NPC or another player that can heal you. How well they roll determines how many segments get filled, and then if they're all filled, then we remove the harm. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you want to do?
I would like to do that.
Okay, cool. How are you going to do that?
So I don't think anybody in our group can heal. I think I'm correct in saying that. So, I would need to acquire an alias or acquire what was it? Acquire
like
an
an asset or something like that, like a cohort. There's a term for that.
Yeah, you can acquire an asset. I think we might have already said that the crew has a contact that might be able to fulfill this role, if I remember correctly. I think you guys have a contact or would know of this place called Casa Irma. Casa Irma is this like kind of colonial style home inside of the city itself that's run kind of by like a street doctor. You could potentially go and we could frame a scene at Casa Irma and just have her heal you. The place is run by this lady. Her name is Irma Rodriguez. She's a doctor. She could take a look at you and probably heal you, but it's gonna cost you 1 jewel, right? So,
Right.
do you have the money to pay?
Probably not.
You could take money from the crew.
Is everybody cool with that?
How much money do we have?
Yeah. Not much.
We're gonna
yeah.
get more.
Fair.
Yeah, y'all are about to get a pretty fair bit
Yeah.
more. How much do you have right now?
I am for it. I'm not saying I'm just curious how much we have. Just want to put that out there. Yes, definitely use them to get healed
I
up.
don't think I have any.
Recovery
I don't
doesn't
think I
really
have
say anything
any.
about paying money to the person though. It's just treated like a long-term project.
Well, you need to if you can't secure an asset for it.
Oh, well, let's see. Okay.
Could
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
could I try to secure an asset before she heals so that she can use it?
We would count that as one of your downtime activities.
Yep.
Okay. What do you want to do?
I just want to poke around town and try to see if there's any altruistic doctors, and basically spend more time like looking for people that are
So that she doesn't
working
have to,
on.
so you want to get healing for free, basically? Okay.
Yeah.
Or just like
Are there
people
any like free clinics?
like I'll just kind of go around and find a contact that maybe they know will bring them business, and
You set the tier, Teddy. You decide on the minimum quality level that we have to achieve.
Yeah, I feel like if you're trying to look for free healing, the tier is going to be pretty low, which means that their effect when it comes to trying to heal you is going to be fairly low. But I mean, it's only, it's pretty low level harm, or I guess mid level harm.
is there a reason we didn't use armor when you took that harm? There wasn't, right? And
I think we just didn't know. Human error.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do that. So,
How do I acquire an asset? Let's
yeah.
see.
So we're looking for a cohort then, or no, we're looking for a service, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna roll the player's tier to acquire an asset, and then the result is gonna indicate the quality of the asset that we get. So our tier is 0, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then, do we roll? Can we roll for that?
Maybe it's because typically the rules are when you have a 0, you roll 2, take the lowest.
Okay. All right. That works. Okay. So then we'll roll 2, and then we'll take the lowest, and then we'll see what we got.
4.
Okay. So on a 4, this is worded very weirdly. Using the crew's tier as base, 1 to 3 is tier 1, 4 to 5 is tier... Oh, okay, so it's equal to our current tier. Okay, so...
The big old fat 0.
So we're gonna get some tier 0 healing. Okay.
Sweet.
So, the player can spend jewels to increase the result beyond critical by spending 2 jewels per additional tier level. So you could spend 2 jewels and have this be tier 1.
We might as well, if we end up getting, let's say around 6 jewels, then we would, let's see, that would put us at, I think that would put us at like more jewels than we could really handle. So we should probably spend it. Yeah, we can only hold 4 jewels. We would have to get a vault, so we should be spending jewels left and right. TBH.
How many
wanna,
jewels does
like,
the crew have right now?
2 jewels.
Okay.
So you might as well toss that. Let's throw money out, because once we get that, even if we get 6 jewels from the job after tithing, we're still going to have 2 left over that we need to throw at something in the next downtime.
So you could spend 2 jewels now and increase this to a tier 1 healing, or you could spend 1 jewel and get tier 2 healing from the contact that you already know. Right? I think the idea here was to circumvent the cost, but it's going to end up costing you anything to get a slightly higher tier of healing, right? So
I think a long-term healing option is better, because then we can go back to them again and kind of on the cheap, and then we can spend jewels on that if we need to be like, oh, we need to boost this up a little more. That's better than having just temporary use, in my opinion.
I agree. It's smarter.
okay.
I also now know what I want to do for a long-term project, but that's just...
Were you talking to Melissa? Is that why you know? That's cool.
No, oh, no, actually, but...
Were you talking about Meepo?
No, I was talking to Melissa, but I didn't figure out the project from talking to Melissa.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
curious.
so what do we want to do? I mean, Cornfield, this would, if she were to go get healing from the person who costs 1 for tier 2, I maybe should have telegraphed that a little bit better, but
Cost 2 for tier 1. Right? You said
yeah,
cost 2 jewels to get tier 1?
2 for tier 1 from the way that you already have, but it would mean
long term.
but it would mean that you wouldn't waste one of your downtime actions, or you could technically have just wasted a downtime action, and then she'll go spend 1 jewel for tier 2 healing at the contact that you already know at Casa Irma.
But
we don't spending 2 won't get us a long-term contact.
Well,
no, we have to.
Well, I mean, spending 2 would get you. Spending 2 would just increase the tier level to a tier 1, but you kind of already have a long-term contract with the place where you spend 1 jewel for tier 2 healing. Do you see what I mean?
So does it make sense for it to...
I see. Okay, then, yeah, let's just do that. Better deal.
Okay. All right, cool. So, we'll finally, chronologically, a half an hour later, cut from that opening scene of Manon to an exterior shot somewhere deep within the city. We sort of see, at a distance, the sort of maze-like sprawl of the city itself. But we get an exterior shot of a colonial style, kind of semi-dilapidated building in the middle of town, kind of surrounded by all these neon signs and sort of like, cyberpunk accoutrement. It's a colonial house. The exterior is sort of painted pink. It's nighttime and rain is pouring down, so we can just sort of barely make out sort of its color. It's a 3-story house. We cut to the interior of the house, and we see, just sort of rows and rows of various people, mostly elderly, hooked up to various generators that are sort of laid out in rows, sort of all along the interior of the building. There's old folks hooked up to ventilators that are hooked up to these generators. There's folks with various different cybernetic augmentations that are being, sort of kept in power by these generators. But eventually, we sort of cut to an examination room inside of this place. And we see you, Fang. You're sort of sat on one of those. What are those doctor's tables called? You know what I'm talking about? What is that called? Huh?
An exam table?
Yeah. An exam table.
There's scantrons.
Is there what?
A scantron.
A scantron, like one of those test deals?
Yeah. Exam. It's a joke. I'm full of them.
You're sat on one of those examination tables, and in front of you, sort of giving you a look over, is a tall woman with salt and pepper hair, kind of like curly hair, kind of tied into a very tight bun. She has like very deeply tanned bronze skin. She's wearing kind of like cargo pants, boots, a black t-shirt, and over that she's wearing like a white like lab coat with the sleeves rolled up. And she's just sort of giving you kind of a look over to see what's wrong what's wrong with you. Her name is Dr. Irma Rodriguez. She runs this place. This place is called Casa Irma. It's a 24-hour kind of open clinic and boarding house run by this woman. She's sort of giving you a look over and she says, "So what happened?"
Bar fight.
Well, that's a hell of a bar fight. I mean, it's looking like you got a couple of bruised ribs.
Yeah, well, you should see the other guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna walk in here any minute now. Okay, alright, let's take a look here and see what I can do. And then let's see what it is that she can do for you. So
What is it that she can do?
So she is tier 2, right? Yep, she's tier 2. So then we'll roll. PC with the physician's go. Oh, okay, so we use their quality level. Okay, cool. So we'll roll 2d6. And then we'll make this a 4 progress clock. And then if we get 4, then you're fully healed.
Oh, am I rolling or are you rolling?
No, I'm rolling for them.
Cool.
Double 6s, baby. Let's go. All right.
Nice.
Okay,
Damn,
cool.
dude.
Yeah. So Irma really, so Dr. Rodriguez really patches you up.
Fucking a wizard.
She's sort of, I don't know. How would you heal somebody that has, some bruised ribs? What would you set up for them?
You don't.
There's
not a treatment for it.
There's a
This gives you
canonical.
morphine.
The canonical thing is all of the members in this world, we have nanites in our bloodstream due to all the food and treated water and stuff.
Okay.
That they can hack and basically have the nanites boost localized healing
Okay.
Oh, well then
So
why
it's-
don't we just
it's Metal
heal
Gear
ourselves
Solid
constantly?
4.
Because would you want to mess with your own pacemaker? Like, it's like having those things.
What we're doing.
Well, like if you do it wrong, it could.
That's why you
That
need
could
an
be a bad
expert.
thing. That's why you want experts or
I
somebody that's really good
see.
at it.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I actually like that. Yeah. So she's got a special machine that hooks up and fixes the nanites in your ribs. Sort of helps set them on a healing track. And you can go ahead and get rid of that mark on your character sheet.
It just
right?
totally fills the healing clock, right? Just knocks
that-
it right out.
Yeah, that totally healed it.
Plunk.
Yeah, a critical is 5 segments, and there's only 4 segments on the clock, and that was a crit.
Hell yeah.
Goodbye.
Above and beyond.
Thanks, Irma.
Yeah. No
Dr.
problem.
Rodriguez to you.
Listen, you be careful out there, okay?
Can't make any promises, but thanks.
It's getting pretty hairy out there. I mean, I get these people walking in day and night, and it's just try and stay dry out there, okay?
Will do.
All right, she gives you sort of a pat on the shoulder and then pushes you off the examination chair because there's somebody else coming in. All right. So, you still get one more thing that you can do in your downtime. I mean, you can do something or you could really not. I mean, it's up to you, right? We kind of already cleared your harm fang, so it's up to you.
I feel like it would be dumb not to just train, right?
Yeah, you can always, you can just train.
So I'm gonna do some training now that I'm feeling better. I feel like I probably have some weights or something in my room that I can just gonna do some weightlifting because I'm
Okay.
going for prowess. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, do some sick bicep curls with your augmented
Yeah.
arm. All right, cool.
get some gains.
Get some gains. All right, cool. So mark an XP track in prowess. All right,
You got
who would like to go next?
I would like to go next.
All right, Polly, what's up?
Okay, so yes, first thing I would like to do is I would like to indulge in a vice to relieve stress.
Okay.
Polly's vice is luxury, so she likes to go to very fancy places and just be pampered because it reminds her of her old luxurious corporate lifestyle.
Okay.
We came up with a place that she likes to frequent.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that? I have the name of it somewhere.
It
Let me check my-
is. Let me check my
the
character
notes.
creation notes. It is the Vice. It's luxury, and it's this place called Thalassic Lust.
No, that's the purveyor of the place. It's called the Fairview.
Yeah,
Or something like that.
It's a hotel, right? It's like a spa, like in the top floor of a
Bathhouse.
hotel. It's a bathhouse in the top floor of a hotel.
Something like that, yes. Because it has a great fair view of the weather and the city.
Yeah, it's got oceanfront views.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you want to go there?
Yes, I do. I have a member's pass.
Okay, cool. And your goal is to clear your stress. Perfect.
Yes, to clear my stress. I was very stressful.
Mhm.
I had 5 stress.
Okay. So then to clear that stress, we got to roll to find out how much stress relief Polly gets from going to the spa. So you roll dice equal to your lowest attribute rating, and then we clear stress equal to the highest dice result.
So my lowest dice rating being 0? What? No, 1. What?
I think so. I think
Would-
it's 1.
Yeah, I'll just roll the 1 then.
It's saying like in prowess, insider,
Okay, so they're all
at least 1.
that's the full 5.
Okay, perfect. And you didn't overindulge either. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
you get to clear your 5 stress. What do we see? You know, we probably cut from Fang going to the doctor and kind of like training up to you going to this place to go to...
It cuts to like these like Japanese double doors opening, and then Polly stepping through with like a very fluffy like bathrobe, and just like steamy, and she's just sort of like essentially being led into like a massage room, and then it shows her getting a massage, and then she has like a mud mask with the eucalyptus on her eyes, and then she's just lounging on a chair in front of a big glass window that has the city in front,
Okay.
and then the beyond.
Do they? Okay. Can I make a slight change to the interior
Go
of this
ahead.
place? Cool.
Absolutely,
So
go.
there's an act of God rolling in within the next 24 hours. So the outside is very stormy. It's very dark. The windows outside are like AR windows, and they kind of like holographically display like a fake exterior. So the outside, we sort of see like a very peaceful, idyllic, like from very high up above. It's a tower in the middle of like this giant green field. In the distance, we see like some very serene-looking snow-capped mountains. The sky up above is a very cheerful, peaceful, like cloudless blue sky. The sound of birds chirping, and it all looks very real.
Could I
Oh,
pitch
yeah.
an even more dystopian version of that as well?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So what if the windows have that tech in it, but each person it has sunglasses on that they see what they want? Like, oh, if you want to be in the Himalayas, it does that. But actually, just walking around, it's like just stormy and just like awful.
Yeah,
But each person's like,
if you don't have the thing, yeah, we cut to an attendant at the place, and we sort of see from their perspective, like the exterior being all stormy and fucked up, and there's like different
The hand-
protective
people-
measures coming up on different buildings to like protect from the incoming storm, like. The sound dampening is like kind of fucked up if you don't have like these glasses on and like these special earplugs or like ear augmentations that like channel in the AR audio. Yeah.
All the
It's like
attendant
truly
sees is just
horrific if you're not like a
people.
patron there.
Yeah, just a few people in like lounging chairs, like staring at like a window, and there's like a storm outside, but they're all just like, yeah, it's nice.
oh, look,
Like
there's a boat
waiters
out
bringing
there.
them. Waiters are bringing
Yeah.
drinks and stuff. The waiters don't have the glasses on, so they like are fully in the dystopic hell.
Make no mistake, Polly's 100% in it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
part of the vice.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Okay, cool, perfect. I think that's great. Yeah, we sort of get that interstitial. Who would like to go next? Polly and Fang have already done, so we got Cornfield and we got Ravel. Oh no, Ravel, you already went.
I'm
as well.
done too.
Okay.
Okay.
Polly, you got one more thing other than your vice though. You could do one.
Yes, I'm thinking about that.
You could do a train. Train's always a good thing. My cat just
Yeah,
jumped
because
up.
if we don't have time to train now,
Yeah, we can.
We're not gonna have- we
If there's
sure
any
won't have time
training
to
that
go
doesn't necessarily feel super thematic to what's going on, like in the fiction, then we can just sort of off-screen it.
I would like to begin a long-term project.
What's your long-term project that you want to begin?
I want to learn how to fly the long weekend.
Okay.
From
All right.
Manning.
You want
in
to
the
take
event of
pilot
an
lessons from?
emergency, it's always
I
nice to
want
have.
to learn how to play it, yeah.
It's my plane.
Okay, that's
Power
good.
play.
Let's start that then. So.
Could see Marmimo's tail on camera.
Yeah,
Just her tail though.
Baby girl.
Okay. So I think that's going to be 8 segments. And you keep track of this too, Jose, just so we don't forget.
Yeah, I think at the bottom of your character sheet, there's a section for project clocks.
Is there?
Or you can hit add, describe what it is, and then
No.
Let's take a look. Where? Oh, clocks. Yes, add. Let me stretch this out a little bit.
Okay.
the cat's suddenly very
So,
needy.
What we do when you embark on a long-term project is we have you roll an appropriate action, and then you roll the action, and then we'll determine from what you roll how many segments we fill out. So, how is it that you're going about learning how to pilot the long weekend?
I feel like I have a few avenues, methods of training. The most easiest and accessible would be, at least at the very beginning, like asking Manon, so what does this do? What does that do? What's this? So this is how you fly? This is so just getting a rundown, at least to start, and then maybe we can do like
I-
training.
Can I pitch something to you?
Please pitch away.
Can we? Well, I mean, I guess this would be kind of passive. I guess it wouldn't really count an action, but I just think it would be funny if, like, you're listening to an audiobook while you're at the spa on like how to pilot like ancient airships.
Yup.
I feel like that would be I feel like the effect of that would be kind of limited. I just think it's personally funny. You can do whatever you want, but that's just a suggestion.
Hey, you could do both.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Just be you prepping to go talk with Hammond or
Manon.
Manon.
You said it was 8 segments, correct?
Yes.
Sweet. I have it. I have my clock.
Okay,
Cool.
So what are you gonna roll? It's up to you.
First, I feel like the thing that makes the most sense right now would be control. Learning how to control the thing first.
Okay, that makes sense to me. All right.
Learning the controls, if you will.
Yeah, you gotta be able to control the craft. All right.
Yes.
Go ahead and roll control.
And so, because I have 2 and it's 2d6?
Yep.
Yes.
And there's no position in effect here. We're just analyzing
Yeah.
the different things and to fill out different segments. Okay, so that's a 5. That's gonna be 2 segments.
2 segments filled. We are a quarter of the way there. All right. And so that's my downtime.
Okay.
I come back from the spa, say hi to Manon, get curious, start asking questions.
Okay. Cool. Do we want to frame a scene there, or are you good?
I'm good. I think
Okay.
it could be something that she's doing when people come back to the long weekend after their downtime.
Okay. Sick. And then cornfield. What's going on?
Okay. I want to start a long-term project
Okay.
to I want to is there ever a crew upgrade to bring on a doctor onto our ship? Is that a thing?
Let me see.
I was also thinking about a doctor as well, yeah. But I decided let me fly the thing first.
That is hingent on if I'm just going to do 2 trains practically or start this project.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't find it in the book because I forgot what our crew is called.
I feel like that could be a part of a. I feel like that could be a part of a legitimate front. Right? Like if the front for the ship is like delivering, medical aid to like unserved communities, like in isolated communities within the island that are disconnected from the actual city itself.
Yeah.
That would work there.
So kind of what I want to do is I'm wanting to bring on, like my end goal is I want to bring on a doctor. So basically my long-term project is I want to prep one of like the storage closets or something as basically a little like basically like a small ER room, like a little crash room.
Okay.
And that can just be, and working on that project, it could be things like
Like a stabilizing room because helicopter paramedics I forget what they're called. They're dope people, but their whole thing, their entire form of training is just stabilizing until they get put into into actual proper care.
Yeah.
So us having a ship, we could have that sort of same, like, this is a place where you will not die, but you're not exactly probably going to get better.
like I just want to try to kit out a room to where eventually if we want to bring on a doctor onto the ship, they have a base. Not necessarily, I think it'd be too big to just bring on a person right yet. That's why I want to do it kind of in 2 projects.
Okay, so we want to do 2 linked clocks for that?
Yeah, but I'll just start with my 1.
Okay, cool. That is going to be 2 8 segment clocks.
Okay, that's what I figured.
So 1 to make the space, and then that's going to go into, I guess sort of the second clock is like actually establishing. Okay, so my question then is, would this be mechanically tied into the actual like expansion of claims for the whatchamacallit, for the crew, or would this just be like somebody that is just there just because, you know what I mean?
What I kind of wanted to do is to be able to bring in the issues already have access to a healer at tier 2.
Yes.
That we then don't have to pay anything. We just,
Well, I mean, you have to pay her. You have to pay her 1 jewel. Also, make sure to be subtract 1 jewel to go and see Dr. Rodriguez.
Oh, we have not. I got that.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Yeah.
because basically what I then want to do is like try to find like an intern, like bring on a person that works at that clinic to be on board where they're part of our crew, and so that
Okay.
maybe we get like tier 1 healing.
Okay. I think.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think in order to do that, I think having that first clock and having the first project be like making the space
Mhm.
to be able to provide that would work, because you'd have to kind of, you'd have to be able to convince them that coming
Yeah.
onto the ship and like being a part of this like group of thieves is a good idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would work. I think once you finish kitting out the space, I think that will become more likely.
Okay. And then I'll go from there. So I'm gonna say setting up the medical crash room.
Okay, so what action are you going to use to do that?
I
I
think
love
first.
calling it the crash room, by the way. The crash room is great.
I would like to go out and about and study the just different medical stations and like go to the shop where Bree's character went and healed and just
Yeah, we'll say
look
maybe you went.
around,
Yeah, maybe we'll say that you
take
went with her,
notes.
right? And you just sort of linger around and.
Like I'm very much in the studying phase because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this. And that's
Okay.
why it's a project. I'm gonna
Okay.
try to figure it out.
Okay, cool. I like that. Go ahead and roll to study.
Okay, action roll, downtime roll, long-term project, study. I don't get any bonus dice, right? Oh
No.
no. Okay. There's no
Okay.
failures. I rolled a 6,
Okay.
so
That
that's 3
is-
6, right?
I think it's more than that. I think it's Oh no, it is 3. 6. Yep, 3 seconds.
Okay, some good progress.
It's a little more than a quarter.
One might say. Oh, and then for my other one, I just want to I want to train my resolve.
Okay. Cool.
And I think that's just going to be literally me just kind of specifically I'm working on probably networking. So I think I'm just kind of as I'm going out and about, maybe just practicing searching through databases. Nothing like severe. Like I'll go to like the deli and I'll kind of practice breaking into their ledger. Not stealing anything, just practicing getting info and getting in and out of their
Yeah. just
subroutine.
taking a look.
Just casual hacking.
Okay. All right, cool. I like that. All right, so that's everybody's downtime activities done.
Finally.
Finally, we all sort of struggled through getting all of that, but I think now we all kind of understand how that works a little bit better. At this point, maybe we'll cut back to the interior of the long weekend, back in sort of that living room. It's late in the evening. You guys have another 24 hours before the act of God completely finishes rolling in. At this point, it's absolutely pissing rain outside. It's huge thunderstorm.
I'm sorry,
going
is this a
on.
Christian level piss?
This is a Christian level piss.
We did it. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
The strength of the rain is very strong. The stream of rain pouring down from the clouds above is very intense. Y'all have about another, it was 48 hours from this morning, to go ahead and finish the job. You still have to go and do a hit on the WEH. Go and siphon out as many jewels as you can, bring it back. Give it's a 60-40 cut for Smiley. What do you do? What's the idea here? There's a very minor act of God rolling in here. We've got limited time. What's going on? What do you do?
So I have a question about what part of the WEH are we hitting? Like, there's we're just gonna go in and how do we extract the fuel?
Mhm.
So, the way that this works is jewels at the WEH are extracted through like vast fields of solar panels that cover because the WEH is one of the bigger sort of districts within the city itself. Most of the space is kind of open ground. I'm laughing at Pri because she's on the phone.
It's
most
mostly open ground.
Yes,
Where the jewels kept?
So the jewels are kept in sort of containment storehouses, these kind of giant storerooms, and they're kept the jewels themselves are sort of like batteries, right? So there's just sort of storerooms full of these batteries that are then charged through the energy that's collected from these solar panels, and that is where the jewels are being stored.
Okay. So if we could find a way, the storm will get us through airspace, right? So we need to. So then when we hit the ground, we're gonna need to find a way inside of the building, and through that security.
Yes, and there's various different. I mean, and there's many of these different storerooms, right? There's not just the one, so you can hit whichever one, right?
Okay. I think what we would probably do is gather some information about a specific storehouse that we know is going to be particularly vulnerable, and then that can kind of maybe set us up for some flashbacks later of bribing guards and whatnot.
Okay, so do we want to gather information before we head into the engagement role then?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I know. I have an idea for some information that I would like to gather. At least I do want to see if there's any sort of reporting on the incoming act of God. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but earlier was described as sort of like a hurricane.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So those things move. I want to see if we can get a track of the act of God's movement as it comes through, and I want to see when would be the most opportune time when it would be over the WEH.
Okay. All right. Cool. That makes sense to me. All right.
Are you going to suggest we sit in the eye of the storm while it happens?
Maybe.
Okay. Here's another. So here's more information about gathering information.
So who do we want to go with first? Who would like to go first?
I'll do it first. I feel like looking up a weather report is not too intensive.
Yeah,
I'll give it a shot.
Okay. Yep. So.
So what role is this?
Let me go to the gathering information bit here real quick, and we won't spend too much time on this, right? But there we go. Okay. So I kind of have a good idea of what information that you want to gather. You kind of want to know the trajectory of this storm, right? As accurately as you can get that. How are you going to go about doing this?
I feel like it's a network role. If it's not, actually looking up the information, talking to people about it, then it's going through.
To kind of thinking about this a little bit more, I think this is actually pretty common knowledge. So I'll go ahead and answer. I'll just go ahead and answer that for you without requiring a roll. So you just want to know when, the most opportune time, as you want to know when the storm is going to be passing over the WEH, so you can go and hit right at that time, right?
Yeah, or as close to that time as possible, because ideally that's the peak time when people are going to be hiding down, bunkering down.
Okay, so checking sort of news feeds, checking weather reports. It's going to be around maybe 10:30 to 11 o'clock tomorrow evening. Is when the main
10:30 in the morning.
No, 10:30 in the evening.
In the evening. Okay, so we have
tomorrow evening. So you still have another 24 hours more or less.
Okay, fantastic. We'll relay this information. We'll probably have to be up in the air an hour at least beforehand, just so we can be properly and not have to, catch up.
I've got an idea, and I think
What?
I say this in character.
Mhm.
I've got an idea. So, first thing we need to do, like we action smash to the heist, or not to the heist, but like to something. What I want to do is I want to survey a particular. I'm looking for a particularly vulnerable storehouse that has like a weakness on the power grid, if that makes sense. Because my intention, I think our detail here, like obviously we're using stealth, but I think the point of entry has to be through sabotage. At least that's the way my character is thinking. So if we could sabotage part of the power grid, that would throw down their security, and it would also probably cause a distraction, and then that would give us an opportunity to slip in.
You know what? That's
so-
actually a really good idea, because any sort of sabotage that we commit will likely be looked over as, the act
Part
of
of the
God.
storm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So total cover for
Alright.
us.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So I feel like the survey, it could either be survey or we could network. Somebody could network to find out, like, more about, like, whatever gives. I feel like
think
it would be me giving me
Ravel,
access
I think
to
Ravel, I think you
vomit.
should. I think you should own this. So.
Think I should own it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
I'm
feel like
gonna-
this is a survey role. Surveying for a position to wreck, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and I guess so. Can I make a gather information check that will affect the engagement roll?
Yes, I think so far we have 2 gather information checks that will affect the engagement roll, so we're already at +1D.
Okay. So this will be survey, which kind of sucks for me. But can I push myself on this one?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, that's 2 stress, right?
Yes.
All right. Hopefully, I live to regret that. Ravel/roll 1d6. Didn't type it right. 1d6. Yeah, baby. That's how you do it.
There we go.
That is what? Great, exceptional details, total follow-up, more complete and total follow-up.
Okay, cool. So how do you go about surveying for this perfect spot to gain access to one of these storehouses?
I imagine that maybe my contact, what's her name? Shira helps me, like, who runs the chop shop.
Yeah.
She's the mechanic lady, so I feel like she's like more of a people person than I am, and maybe like someone rolled into the shop, and she like overheard some kind of conversation.
Oh,
or
okay.
slipped me some kind of
Wait.
useful
Okay.
info.
Can I interject here?
Sure.
This is perfectly with something that's going on at the WEH then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the WEH is okay. So what's the scene here? So do you actually go? I mean, you've got 24 hours, right? Do we maybe see you go the next morning to Shira's shop?
I'm taking the short week, the van for a tune-up.
Okay. So
We're
we
trying to
see
more
the
information.
Yeah. So we see the van roll up to Shira's garage. Shira's garage is like, deep within where within the city is it?
I don't know enough about the city to say. Where do you think it is?
I mean, kind of taking.
I feel like it's somewhere pretty run down. It's not somewhere very nice. Shira probably keeps multiple guns in order to make sure that doesn't get, like, she's probably constantly dealing with getting robbed, but also I feel like the neighborhood is dangerous, but like she has like a really secure, like no one's gonna fuck with her.
Okay.
I feel like she's like a pillar of the community in that area.
There's a I'm pinging on the map right now. This sort of little block of the city here, sort of directly to the east of that southern part of the WEH. Do you see where I'm pinging?
Yep.
Either there or there's this area here. No, because that's still kind of within. No, let's have it. Let's have it be here. Let me make a note. It's kind of janky as hell going through this and being like, well, I don't really have a name for this part of the city yet, but we'll sort of get to it when we get to it as things get fleshed out more. So Shira's shop. southeast sector. WH. Okay, cool. So we'll codify that
Okay, cool.
post haste at some later date. Yeah, so we see you, that's kind of still, it's deep in the city. This is one of the places that's a little bit more run down, right? I don't know why I'm imagining like an old like aircraft hangar, you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
fitting.
yeah, the exterior kind of looks like that. There's various different like old kind of like retro vehicles and stuff, right? Because your van is sort of like a relic, right?
Yeah, it's like 80 years old.
Yeah,
It's been completely replaced. Like the parts have been replaced like 2 or 3 times over.
Okay, yeah, we see the van sort of pull into the interior of the shop. Inside of the shop, there's other like old style cars, right? Like old muscle cars. There's quite a few motorcycles out. And these aren't like, new style kind of like, cyber cycles, right? These are like old school like choppers. They run on actual gasoline. That are sort of like parked within the shop itself, and there's a large group of kind of like guys that you maybe haven't seen before around these parts, kind of hanging out around their motorcycles. But sort of like rolling up, getting out of the van. Shira comes over and greets you. What's she like?
Shira's let's see. Shira is blank in here. I don't know. I think maybe Shira is like
How
an
many
African
cybernetics she got?
refugee. What kind of cybernetics she's got?
Like,
I'd
is she
say
a heavily
she's got
modded
like
person.
is she I know she's definitely modded. I'd say she's got let's see. I imagine she's got like a cybernetic like a leg, almost more like a prosthetic.
Okay.
But like meat hands. And
Oh, don't ever
Oh,
say
wait, did you say meat hands?
yeah, like she's like
Okay.
not metal, like she doesn't have
No,
cybernetic
I know what you
arms
meant, but
or
that's a
hands.
gross way to phrase it.
I'm sorry. That's what popped into my head. I mean to offend your
now,
sensibilities.
when I hear y'all walk around, and like my character, he always refers to it as your meat feet.
Mm-hmm.
Ew,
So,
boo.
That's like being in the real world as opposed to jacked inside of a terminal as meat space.
Big
Exactly.
meaty claws.
Anyway,
I don't know why, but I already said she's Let's see. I said she's African, but I kind of get more like I imagine like North African, but sort of closer to Spain, or that kind of ethnic vibe from her.
okay.
And she's just like kind of a she's just gives the impression of being very tough as nails.
Okay, yeah. I'm imagining kind of like a very muscular looking lady, with these sort of like augmented legs.
Yep.
Like she's probably like wearing like a tank top of some sorts. She's got like very muscular arms, like lots of tattoos. She sees you getting out of the van. She says, "Ravel, how the hell you doing?"
Oh, I'm fine, not much. Just trying to stay dry out here.
Yeah, we all. It's pissing out there, huh?
Just fucking pissing. So, brought the old girl in for a tune-up and just to talk. And I was wondering if you knew anything. Got a job coming up, and was wondering if you heard a thing or two about the WEH.
Her eyes go wide. She glances over to the men with their kind of like old style like choppers over on the other side of the lot, and she says, "Whoa, keep it quiet. Listen, why don't you step into my office for a second?"
Who are the new guys? And as we're walking in there.
So you go into her office. It's sort of like a small office set inside of the shop. It's a very kind of like rundown, derelict looking place. There's lots of tools kind of all over the place, lots of like paperwork kind of like laid out across her desk. She has various different like clippings and stuff of things hanging, like kind of like posted up on the walls in there. She sits down like in a kind of like a heavy kind of like beaten up old armchair behind her desk, and she says, "Those guys out there, those are los orgullosos."
Los Orgu what? What's that mean?
Orgullosos. It means the proud ones.
What
They're
do they have to
running
be
out.
proud of?
Well,
Their bikes look like shit.
their bikes are all right, but they're pretty particular about staying unaugmented, if you know what I mean. Very proud of staying pure, staying 100% human, I guess. I don't really get it. They're just particular about that, but they hold a lot of turf over at the WEH. Why? You thinking about striking over there?
Yeah, we got a plan. Well, at least I do.
Okay, what's the plan?
I'm gonna blow up the power grid.
You what?
Yep, you heard me.
Well, how exactly are you gonna do that?
I was hoping you'd know something. I'm looking for a place to slide in. Just, anyone asks, they'll think it was the act of God. They won't bat an eye at, they won't look too hard at sabotage.
Okay, all right, that's pretty smart. Okay,
I
tell
have
you
my
what.
moments.
She sort of like gives you kind of like a rundown. She maybe has a map of the city. That she sort of pulls out. She highlights in particular, a storehouse, kind of on the northern edge of the WEH. Not quite close enough to the shoreline to be, immediately hit by the act of God as it comes in from the ocean, but close enough that it's safe enough for you, and it's, there's a good bit of plausible deniability as to what's going to happen, as the place gets hit. Was this something that was manufactured by somebody, this kind of like, break in to the storehouse, or was it the act of God? It seems like a good contender. But she says, listen, and you didn't hear it from me, but it's looking like those Orgulloso fellows, they may be looking to I mean, you know who they are, right? You know how they run, right?
Are they tough?
Well, they hold most of the turf out in the WEH, and they tend to hit the place pretty heavily. Hit up the military, start fights with auditors. Things get kind of scary, and, I was listening, the guys came in with their cycles, had me take a look. Weren't too keen on my legs, but, what can you do? It's looking like they're looking to cause a little bit of a blow up, there this evening. Might get some auditors involved if things go kind of hairy, but, might be good cover for you.
Then that would be great. That's a good plan. So you think the security would be a little lower too, huh?
Well, security might be a little bit higher, but I think most of it's going to be diverted, seeing as those guys are going to be, hitting the place up. They're not after the jewels if that's what you're after. They're really more there to kind of try and scare the military out. But yeah, maybe if you can kind of stay out of the crosshairs.
Okay. So we can use them as a diversion from the Orgullosos. Okay. Well, then I can take a look around the power grid, see where I can put a couple of old plastic C4 explosives, and yeah, that'll be great. So we got them to handle that. Hold on, I think I can get some more info out of her if I ask the right questions.
I mean, you got a 6, so you're doing pretty good here. I mean, it wasn't a crit, but whatever you want to get out of her, you can.
Okay, so I could probably also
What
find
about a
out.
number?
Yeah, does she know? Like, did she ever hear them talking about specific kind of security? Like, how tough is the military there? Like, how tough are the Orgullosos and how tough are they? Like, to kind of predict how long the fight's gonna go.
Yeah. So Los Orgullosos are a pretty medium tiered gang. They're tier 3.
Oh shit!
They hold quite a bit of turf in the WEH. she maybe lets you know that, you know, they tend to try and strike out towards the core of the WEH, right? They're basically going in and trying to cause as much noise as they can, both to try and like scare the military and like get the auditors to kind of like come in. You know, they've been trying for some time to seize most of the WEH for themselves, right? You know, they sort of see like, you know, the U.S. military kind of coming in and holding all of this turf, holding all of the like energy resources and stuff as something that they want to strike out against. They kind of want to hold that power for themselves. So
Makes
it's kind
sense.
of, you know, they tend to go on raids. They hold turf here, but their base isn't here, so they kind of go on raids. Apparently their base is somewhere like in the mountains, kind of like out in the jungles to the south of the city. So they kind of come down in from the mountains, try and cause as much noise as possible as they can, and then sort of like, you know, run back out, you know, like typical guerrilla warfare tactics.
Gotcha.
However, if you know,
Okay.
the auditors are going to be coming in, you know, I think she might have mentioned it before, but if she hasn't, then Shira says, but listen, hey, Ravel, I like you. I like your van. I love working on it, and I want to keep working on it. But from what I hear, these guys are planning on striking tonight pretty hard. And if they strike pretty hard, it wouldn't be too surprising if the auditors call out some of their Iron Maidens. So, just be careful.
Do I know what the Iron Maidens are?
Yeah, I think Ravel would. Iron Maidens are kind of like, they're sort of like mechs, that the auditors use. Usually, in a situation like this, you could probably infer that the IMs that they send out are gonna be some of the more like smaller type. They're drones. Basically, they're sort of like remotely controlled drones. They're about the size of like a small horse. They're sort of like these kind of like spider-legged kind of drones with like, you know, installed like machine gun turrets on them that the auditors
Her
remotely...
eyes are just big. She's like, I
Yeah.
want one. I've always
that's...
wanted to see an Iron Maiden up close.
Yeah, that's kind of the catch, though. So they're kind of like, right, they're these drones. They're pretty big, you know, the size of a big horse, you know, definitely bigger than a human, big gun attached to them. They're remotely controlled by the auditors. Ravel would probably know this, seeing as you're a glitch, you're kind of operating outside of the bounds of society, so you're a little bit privy to, like, you know, outsider knowledge.
Not to mention, she probably already knows about these and has always wanted to see one in action to get a hold of one, potentially.
So in the media,
I'm right.
auditor Iron Maidens are called drones, right? Like they're remotely controlled, but they're not really remotely controlled. They are controlled by semi-conscious prisoners that are prisoners in reform that have been hooked up with like wet-wired neural augmentations and sort of like hardwired like physical augmentations that graft them to the interior of the drones. So they act as sort of like a neural and physiological go-between that is actually like physically piloting the drone from the inside. But then
they're the Beauty and the Beast Core from Metal Gear Solid 4?
Kind of. So
sick.
So an auditor is remotely controlling a prisoner that is trapped inside, unconscious, like physically, like body horror grafted inside of this drone, and that is what is kind of like piloting the drone.
Oh man, that's unethical as hell.
Yeah, so the auditors are possessing prisoners and using them to control various different sized mechs.
So they probably obviously signed up for this at some point, where like
Is it bad that
program
probably wouldn't mind?
Well, they're prisoners, right? So they're just
but
using...
but like maybe like to reduce commute time or like reduce sentencing or something.
I doubt that they really had a choice in it.
What I'm saying is, I'm sure that the
it
people...
kind of sounds like they're stuck in there. It sounds more like human
Well, yeah,
experimentation.
then
No, the
the-
people don't have any idea. Like in the media, like if ever like an Iron Maiden unit is called out into the scene, it's like, oh, these drones came into the scene, and like the auditors like, you know, expertly like piloted these drones to like do this thing, but like,
That's not the case at all.
yeah.
Little did they know, they're basically in a prisoner Eva.
I feel like
Just
Ravel would have a
smaller.
bad opinion of
Yeah.
the Iron Maidens in that case. Then she's like, it's not even full technical stuff. It's like they're cheating by using a wet
Wouldn't
brain.
Relying on a
Wouldn't you call
biological
mining
input.
person a drone?
Pretty.
What?
I don't know. I don't know if she's. I think she would like. I don't think she'd be like, meat using meat's cheating. I think that's how she would think about it.
Yeah, using meat is cheating. Not only is using meat unethical, but it is cheating.
Cheating. That's
Um,
what she's mainly concerned about.
Corpos love cheating.
They sure do.
We sure
So,
do.
Yeah, so just be careful
Okay.
if any spiders show up on the scene, alright?
I'll keep an eye out. No, it'll be fine. I've always wanted to see them up close. We're gonna be way away from the core of the fighting. Like they're gonna be over there, we're gonna be over there. There's not gonna be a problem.
Okay, alright, so...
I feel like that cuts the scene there.
Yeah,
I
so
think
we'll
we're
cut the
good.
scene there, we'll go into the entanglement roll. Are we good? Does anybody have anything else that they want to do, or are we good to go?
I just have to let you know that I have to be out at like 9 or 9:15.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay, tell you what. Let's roll our engagement roll. Wow, we took a really long time just sort of doing a lot of setup today.
It was our first downtime. We had to
Yeah.
figure out, and then now going forward as we wrap up stuff, and then if we start again with the downtime, we can put more thought into it before
Yeah,
showing up
forward.
to camera.
Plus, we only started we only had like about 2 hours of play, so we didn't get as much as last time.
Yeah, this recording is 1:59:19, and that's from when Christian showed up. Yeah, so it was like 2 hours. Okay, then tell you what, do we want to roll the engagement roll there, and then know how we're going to be approaching the situation going in the next session, or do we want to cut now and save that engagement roll for the beginning of the next session?
I think as long as we decide what the engagement roll, I'm cool with deciding like how many dice we're going to be rolling on the engagement roll
How
now,
about
and then we can
we
save it for next
roll
time.
now?
Or we can do it now.
Roll
Roll now.
sucks. Then we roll.
We forget that we rolled.
Bing bang.
Nice.
I'm trying to
I think
think if there's any other thing that I want to try and do before we truly engage. But we have like flashback things that we can do during, right?
Yeah, so you don't have to come up with everything now. Like, not at all.
It's actually important not to come up with everything now. All we need is the detail and some more info, and I feel like we really got that.
Yeah, we've already got the detail completely filled out.
Yeah, I think the only thing that Polygraph is thinking about is like, okay, we know how we're getting in. How are we getting out?
We can figure that out.
Yeah, that is also something that we can figure
Alright.
out.
On the
I
show.
think
Alright.
Comes in.
my basic idea is we get the stuff onto the plane and we get the hell out. That's the plan. We could even like take it to the water where the plane is settled. If it's near the North Shore, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Boom. We could load it into the short week and get out that way.
I guess
We're gonna have a Fulton recovery system.
I would
feel like we
love
can
it.
do that.
I would
We
love it if
would
there was a
that.
Fulton recovery system.
Okay,
Oh
that's my
God.
long-term project.
Long-term project.
The store
Yeah,
is
maybe
setting
maybe
up.
we don't get that right off the back, but maybe that is a great long-term project to kit up so that we get better extractions out of.
Fucking
Like-
die.
I love that.
I love that. No, we're
perfect.
doing it.
Fulton
I
recovery
am going to
it
work
system.
on it.
It makes perfect sense for us. It makes perfect sense for us.
Maybe how long of a clock would that be? Because
I
you
would-
could throw it on your character sheet and then just not progress it yet, and then progress it on.
I did that. I'd say 8, Teddy. What do
I'd
you
say
think?
8. Yeah, that's
yeah.
8 for sure. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay,
All right.
cool.
Okay. All right. So tell you what. Let's do our engagement roll now, and then we'll end on that, knowing how we're gonna go into the situation next session. Are we
That
good?
sounds
Alright.
good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Cool. That's a fun cliffhanger. Okay.
So
Cool.
1D for sheer luck.
So
Oh,
what do
I
you
would
for
like
your
to-
luck? And then,
One, I would like to remind everyone real quick. For this, we're gonna have exosuits.
Yes, we have exosuits.
We have exosuits. I want to
So we
point
get
out
free
very
armor.
clearly- Yeah, they're corporate as hell. Like they're sleek, black, not very like punkish, but
we'll see
they
them,
were.
We'll see them in camera next episode. All right.
yes.
All right. So for that engagement roll, we get 1D for sheer luck. And then let's go into advantages and disadvantages. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? I would say
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's plus 1d on top of that. Is it
We're
overly
drifting in on
complex
that.
or contingent on many factors?
I don't really think so. We're just taking advantage. We're creating our own just diversion and taking advantage of another one. I wouldn't say that we.
Okay.
I would. Oh yeah, no, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
depending how much like the storm might vary, but like
But that's
if
one.
it's not being controlled by someone else,
It's
like
a
if this
small. It's a very small act of God. It's not. It's not
Yeah,
catastrophic.
And I feel like the plan doesn't depend on the storm acting a certain way. We just need it to act like it normally would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not banking on the storm doing something. It's just there, and we're
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then we'll have that just be that plus 1d. Okay. Does the
As
plan's
opposed to-
detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? I would say yes.
Yeah, because we're taking it. I mean, like their major security is going to be distracted by the Orgullosos, and we know that. And we're going to a spot where we know, or at least expect, the Orgullosos to not be attacking. So I'd say another one for that.
Okay, so that's another plus
think
1d.
I think we're at 3D so far.
Yep. Okay. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid? I would say no.
Man,
Yeah, because I think they already did provide
yeah,
aid, right?
Yeah, I don't think Manon counts, right? Like him piloting the ship.
yeah, because
well-
otherwise that would count every single time we
Yeah, you
do a mission. No,
then Smiley giving us the access card has helped.
True.
But
You
it-
could
that's what
look at it
allows
this
us
way,
to
Teddy. You could say you could give us the plus 1d, but take it away because one, enemies or rivals could be interfering, or two, I mean, like the
Yeah, no,
Orgullosos
okay, that makes sense.
they could
That-
count as minus 1d for just this is a higher tier target. This could be
That
this
would-
is dangerous.
Yeah,
This
no,
is their
that makes
turn.
sense. I'm gonna give it to you, and then I'll take it away because the Orgullosos are pretty dangerous. They're tier 3.
Plus, I mean, like who runs the area for real? It's the military, right? I mean,
Well, I mean, it's the military, but they're sort of a paper tiger until the military running the WEH is kind of a paper tiger until the Orgullosos really decide to strike, and then the auditors get called in. The auditors are
see,
the real
okay.
threat, and they're not really there all the time, right? The military
Okay.
that's here is kind of a front, kind of mostly just like engineers and technicians and stuff, making sure that like the solar panels are operational.
okay,
So that-
okay.
On paper, this is like right now it's military turf, but it's the Orgulloso hunting ground as well.
Yes.
Kind of the same way that like a city street is nominally police territory, but it's not really. It's
Yeah.
the gangs who actually like patrol the area and fuck shit
Yeah.
up.
Exactly. Okay, so that's
So that
gonna-
comes out to 3D total, I think.
Are there any other elements you want to consider? And then we'll go ahead and give plus 1d for the information gathering, right? That both of y'all did in filling out that detail. Would that count? I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
that counts.
I think
that's
Polly
two-
did her own, so yeah.
So that's 2
We
1d.
tag-teamed
So
it.
we're going into this with 5d. I mean, I feel like you guys are pretty. You guys have scoped the situation out pretty well.
Yeah, we definitely got a lot planned, and I think we can do it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the engagement role would probably start with like Ravel blowing up something, and then we're seeing how that plays out.
Okay, go ahead and roll. It's 5d.
Shall I do it?
Yes, I trust you.
All right.
I mean, you don't want to have each of us roll one die.
Got a 4. I'll
Oh,
take a
thank
4.
God!
Could be. That was pretty rough, but I'll take a 4.
Wow.
All right.
That's a hit.
Wowee.
Well,
So we're
wow.
gonna start with risky.
Yeah, we're starting off risky, and you know what? Thank goodness.
I feel like flying a plane through a hurricane is risky. Yeah, that's fair.
It's not
Yeah,
even
I'm
that
grateful
hard.
we're
It's
not
gonna be
starting
blowing.
it-
It's going to be blowing up the grid. Is going to be pretty dangerous too. That could. This puts us in a good spot. This is like middle of the ground. Like we could.
Honestly, this is expected.
And
Okay.
this is what I wanted. I didn't want a control position. I think it's much more interesting to start. It's really interesting to start out desperate, but it's too scary, and risky is exactly the sweet spot you want to be for something interesting. But,
Mhm.
but
So our
dangerous.
position goes up and down throughout, right? So we can start off risky, then move to control, but then go back down to risky, then desperate, and then Okay.
Varying success.
Better get out. Teddy, you're like desperate or
Hello.
fucking.
Oh, and
Hello.
all of the things are
Hello.
messed up again. I really don't understand why it does that.
Well, you did it to yourself this time. You have no one to blame but yourself.
I really did. Okay, we're back. All right, so we'll be starting the next session in a risky situation as you guys go ahead and finally strike on the WEH.
Cool.
All
Looking
right.
forward to it.
I think that'll do it
Do we?
next time
We don't do
on
XP here.
A long week.
the long weekend.
Bum, bum.